Welcome back to episode number, whatever episode number it is, of how to get started by making a game in Unreal Engine. So here we are where we left off. We've got our first few platforms, our first few jumps. We've got all this playground behind us as well that I'm kind of not really interested in. So let's do a bit of cleaning up, shall we? Let's get rid of these walls. Let's get rid of these little platforms. We can bring these back later on if we want. We're just going to go around and just tap delete on everything. We've also got these interactive kind of cubes that I could, if I press play, I can walk over, and if I kick one, I kind of interact with it and I'm able to affect its location in the game and even yeet it out of the world. So maybe we'll keep those. Let's grab those and let's move those. If I fly up here, so we've got a bit of a top-down view. Let's keep those. Let's pop these over here. Let's just pop them on this platform over here. There can be a bit of an obstacle for us, but I'm sure we can find a use for them later on. And then we've got this big platform over here that we don't really need to be that big. Let's make this a bit smaller. Let's make that a bit smaller like that as well. And let's just slide this back under our player start. Just test that it's all good. There we go. And there we go. We've got our little isolated world of a platformer, basically. So now we can start to think about how we make this exciting, how we make it a bit of a challenge for the player to play. So my first obstacle is this kind of little balancing beam, and I might choose to, I don't know, have a couple of these. Let's use Alt and clone, and let's have 2 of them. That way the player's got a bit of choice in the route that they take in this game. Not that it's a lot of choice. Let's center that up as well, I think. And let's move our player start so we are perfectly in the middle. That way we've got to consider which way we go. But obstacles can be more than just static objects, okay? This isn't at the moment too difficult or too challenging. And once I've had to go at it a few times, I'll be able to master it every single time that I play this game. So what we want to do is think about having something a bit more interactive, something that moves maybe. So we're going to make our first moving component. And we're going to make our first blueprint, as a matter of fact. When we're making things in Unreal Engine, we want to be organized with it. So if I click on the content folder down here, this is where everything in my game lives. And at the moment, it's divided up into characters, level prototyping, starter content, third person. Let's make a new folder, right click and do a new folder. And let's call this Rotating Platforms. Now, when I go to make a folder, it tells me off that I'm not allowed to have spaces in my folder names. So it's best to not have spaces and use capitalization on the start of each word, just so we can differentiate word names, or we can put in things like underscores instead of spaces. In here, let's go into this folder, let's right click, and let's make a new basic asset. We're going to make a blueprint class. In here, I'm going to choose an actor. Now, there's lots of different kinds of blueprint that we can make in Unreal Engine, and it will explain kind of what the differences are between them. An actor is an object that can be placed or spawned in the world. And this is what we want. We want a platform that exists in the world. So an actor is perfect for what we want to do. And we're going to call this, give it a name, Rotating Beam. Oh, I've come off it. Right click, rename. Rotating Beam. Press return. And we can double click on this. And this will fire us into the blueprint editor. Now, the blueprint editor looks 3 different ways. We've got a viewport, which is kind of the 3D space of the object. We've got a construction script, and we've got an event graph. And The construction script and the event graph, this is kind of the programming that is involved in these blueprints. But for this, we don't even need to do any programming. We don't need to put any blueprint in here in terms of scripting. We're just going to use the viewport. So in the viewport, this is a kind of underworld, secret, hidden away space that we can make things in and then put this into our bigger level. It's made up of components. So on the left hand side, we've got components, and our blueprint is called rotating beam, and we can put a bunch of things inside this rotating beam. So if I click add here, it gives me a list of lots of different things I can add into this blueprint. And we want to make a kind of rotating balancing beam. So if I add in a cube, there we go. It's pretty big, so let's just zoom out by scrolling out. This is going to spawn a cube into our world. It's going to ask us to name it. Let's just tap enter, call it cube. Let's click compile and click save and come out of this blueprint editor. We can see down here, rotating beam exists. If I just drag and drop this now into the world, we can see that it's there as an object, similar to the other cubes that we've got in our scene. If I walk over to it, try to fall out of the world. There we go, it's just a cube. I can't move it, I can't push it, I can't move it around. It's just existing like these other cubes do, but different to these cubes that are movable. That's perfect, that's what we want. Let's come out of this and let's go back into our rotating beam blueprint. And when you open this back up, it might take you into one of these other tabs, like the event graph or the construction script. We just need to know that we can go back onto the viewport. Okay, once we've done that, we can ultimately do lots of things to it, okay? Like add another component. We're going to look in here for something called rotating movement. So if I just type in the word ROT, or the letters ROT, we've got another component here called rotating movement. It wants us to give it a name. We'll just stick with the one that's there. Press enter. Let's compile that and press save. Let's go back into our world and let's see what this is doing now. Let's position this in the gap over here, shall we, so we can see what that's doing. Press play. And now we can see that cube is rotating. And if I walk over to it, and try not to fall out of the world, and step onto this cube, we can see that it rotates, and I can stand on this, and then I also rotate. Can you see where I'm going with this yet? So what we can do now is tap escape, go back into the blueprint, back into the viewport. Let's take this cube and let's stretch it out. Let's use our scale tool, tap R, let's make this long. And also we can make it, if I fly around a bit, fly up there, fly down, let's make it a bit narrower as well. And let's press compile and save. And now we can see that this rotating beam, that was a good estimate of how big it needed to be, wasn't it? Is now going to live in that gap where I had before a static beam. If I press play, we can see it's rotating, but it's also colliding with those other two objects that are there. So let's get rid of these now. Delete that one, and let's delete that one. Let's press play, and now we've got a bit more of a challenge. Now we need to hop off of here onto this beam. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm rubbish at games. I can make games, but I can't play them. So, if I was to try and make this jump, I'm almost guaranteed to fall out of this world. Shall we give it a go? Oh, he's made it. Now, if I was doing that live in front of a class, you can guarantee that I would have not made that jump. And they're all going to call fake news when they see that I made that jump. And now, my next objective is to make it off this beam. Should we give it a go? No. It's pretty challenging. So what we need to do really is think about slowing this down. And we can do this in the blueprint editor again, using what we learned last time, the details panel. So if I go back into the rotating beam blueprint, And if I go back onto the viewport, and if I click onto the rotating movement component here, over on the right hand side of the details panel, I've got something called rotation rate. And at the moment, it is rotating on the y-axis, z-axis, one of the axis, at 180 degrees per second, pretty much. So let's turn this down. Let's make this 45 degrees per second. A bit more of a casual speed. Compile and save. Always click the compile button because that will then send the changes that you've made into the actual object that lives in this side of the engine. And now that beam is going much slower at a much more casual civilian pace, and I can still not make the jump. You've got to kind of anticipate it, I suppose. There you go. And now I can probably make it off the other side with a bit of patience. There we go. Much more doable. And there you go. There is your first rotating component in Unreal Engine.